Hi everyone, welcome back to the Long Way Back podcast. I'm Timmy Long, your host tonight with Georgie Cooney, as always. And we have a very special guest tonight, Rachel Allen. How are you, Rachel?
Hi, I'm well, thanks, Timmy. How are you?
Very well. Listen,
Good.
I met you for the first time through Georgie.
Yes.
So how did you meet Rachel, Georgie initially?
We met because Rachel was looking for a tutor for her daughter who has dyslexia, and someone gave Rachel my name, which is very kind of them. I mean, I'm sure they're quite mad to have done that, but they're very kind. And we met, and I remember meeting you, and we sort of hugged as if we were long lost friends.
And then we started chatting, and we haven't stopped chatting
We have
since.
not, and we always say,
Georgie has that effect. Everybody. It's just her nature, I think.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Well, I always feel there's never enough time. Like, I feel like conversations stop because we've got to rush here or rush there. But isn't it nice when you can just have this flowing conversation?
100%, and that's how conversation should be. Do you ever do you ever go into a group of people where you're just not feeling, you're not feeling it. The energy, you know, it can be different. Like I used to feel it all the time when I used to go to courts when I was years and years ago, or maybe into an environment that's not matching my own energy. You can feel it straight away.
I think we all must have that.
We all have it.
Yeah.
And for years I would wonder, what the feck is that? But no, I just go with it and I trust in the energy. And it's not that I trusted it and I tried to get out of there straight away. I trusted it in a way that I kind of see, right, what do I need to give maybe these people or that person to change this energy? And you can flip it. Sometimes you can, but sometimes you know this area is probably not somewhere where you should be because it's very, very different. But listen, that's
so true.
Yeah,
isn't it? You can just feel it immediately.
It is. It's just, and sometimes for years I questioned what was this, because I was so disconnected from my emotional body. But now I trust in it, and you know what I do? I call it out.
You're so right.
I call it out. I said, fuck it. I often sat down with a friend and I said, Brian, do you feel that? Or Scott, do you feel that? I said, it probably would be me, but there's something going on for me. You know, but listen, I'm rambling on here.
No, that's so true. Actually,
people that are willing to do that, to call it out, and because a lot of people wouldn't be willing to do that.
No, because we're afraid.
Yeah.
What about silence is another thing. Like if I sat down with you for 2 minutes just after meeting you, either of us feels so uncomfortable with the moment that it was like one of us would have to jump in and say something just to take that uneasiness away. And it's like, sometimes when I'm sitting like that with somebody, I'll just sit there and I'll just drop in here and I'll just feel it. I'll feel the urge for my ego, for my mouth wanting just to open, just say something. It's getting awkward. You're weird.
Isn't it just incredible how,
It's the head. It's just the head and the body. And there's always a reaction to the thinking in the body.
I am criminal for that, for the pregnant pauses.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger and going to stay at someone's house, and because my family were always, there was never a silence. It was constant attack, discuss, debate. Like, you know, what's wrong with you if you're not going to debate the world affairs? You know, it's that kind of thing. But if I go to a friend's house and silence was completely normal at the table. What the heck? No. You know, I found it excruciating, like toe curling. But everyone else is really relaxed. I'm having a nightmare in my head.
But there's some people you can sit in silence with.
Yeah.
And there's no awkwardness with the silence, you know, but there's then you come across some people. And I suppose when I'm feeling it, it's not a judgment on me and a judgment on the other person. It's maybe just the energy.
It's the energy.
It's just the
100%.
energy.
100%. I was like my husband, he's really okay with silence.
Yeah.
He often says, you know, well, I'm not going to say something just for the sake of saying something, or
Fair
say
enough.
it if you think it's interesting, or he doesn't really do small talk. Doesn't, and I'm the one who kind of goes.
But I think
and
that's-
he's totally okay with silence, and so now I am too with him in a way.
Yeah.
Not that we just sit there. We do actually. check for a bit.
When you need that.
But not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say. That you see that red there. You see with that orange and the brick above it, and that's a big. Yeah. But it's
What's
okay.
your-
I'm laughing because I was just thinking, the situation at home at the table. Nicole would be sitting across me every morning. We sit down, we have a cup of tea. Nicole would be chatting away to me, like, and I'm just sitting at the table. And it's just about, it could be, because it's always, the conversation is always me having to do more work to the house.
I was about to say, are you actually listening to what she's saying?
After the second time.
We have a rule in our house that I can't ask Isaac anything unless he's had his second cup of coffee. He makes
Very
a pot, and
sensible.
he's always it's his coffee and a cigarette, and then he's just like.
Yeah.
So I know now just to leave him in peace, let him wake up, and then he always says, "So are you going out for a walk? Are you going to work yet?" And when I say yeah, I can see him just going.
Yeah. I completely relate to that. And, or even if you're sitting there and like with me and Nicole in the mornings when we're sitting there just trying to get ourselves together, the kids are doing their own thing around the house. The dog is fucking playing with her ball, running around the house. It's the only kind of important time of the day we get, for each other. Yeah. So, and Nicole is a chatterbox. My wife, she just chats and chats. Do you know that, Georgie? She enjoys it. A chat.
She's great.
Yeah, she is. I'm blessed.
She's a wonderful woman. Yeah.
I am truly blessed. But I suppose going back to the energy side of it, I wouldn't really feel that uncomfortable. And I don't feel around you. I don't feel it here. I don't feel around Tony. But there have been times, like in certain spaces, where I felt that kind of real urge to open my mouth and say something,
And that's why I normally say something stupid.
I know.
Yeah.
When you're feeling
desperately
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Desperately searching for something.
Yeah,
And going,
I know exactly.
You were born in Ireland, Rachel.
I was born in Ireland, but my
Yeah.
mum was born in Iceland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Iceland is
Yeah.
it's a small country. What is its population?
Very
500,000 or
small.
600,000 people.
Exactly. Yeah. About
Have
half a
you ever
million.
been there?
Yeah.
And what
I
kind
haven't
of
been there
country
for
is it?
years.
Yeah.
Really years. It is, so Reykjavik is a really cool little city. And about maybe, I wonder what percentage, maybe about 80% of the population live in Reykjavik, the city.
Okay.
And then
God, that's huge.
hardly any. I mean, a bit like New Zealand, parts of New Zealand in that way, that there's so much land then with just no one living there.
Is it a big country?
It's
in
about
relation
the
to-
size of Munster, or about half the size of Ireland land-wise. I should know.
And is it one of these countries that just snows all the time as well?
No, it doesn't.
I've never been.
It doesn't snow
Sorry,
all the
must
time.
be
So
naive.
in the no, it's funny.
You'd
When they
imagine
say
Iceland,
they say that Iceland and Greenland got the names mixed up.
Okay, that
But,
makes sense.
I mean, it's not that it's that green. There's a lot of rock. There's a lot of terrain that looks a bit like, say, the west of Ireland, Galway, or rugged rock. And
like a
but there's
black
quite a bit of
sand.
green, and there's quite a lot of black
Yeah.
from the volcanic
Yeah.
soil and the volcanic sand. And during the summer, it never really gets dark. You know that twilight when it's just about to get dark
Yeah.
here, it stays like that for the whole night. And then the winter, it's dark the whole time. So they're a fairly
24 hours a day.
crazy person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in the winter, it can get bright for about 2 or 3 hours, but it doesn't really get bright.
Yeah.
And in the summer, it doesn't get dark.
I was in Finland recently.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
What were you doing there?
I was over there. It was Lapland.
Oh,
I was
wow.
there with the kids.
Is it amazing?
Unbelievable.
I've heard it's amazing.
Would live there only for my wife would have an absolute meltdown because of that. Oh, I just love this winter one. I just love the magical stuff. I really do. And the kids, and I was out snowballing, and I actually spent the night in the hospital over there.
Why?
I thought I was 12. And I decided to go down this massive height that the kids were going down and sleighs that were made for 10-year-olds. And they built...
muscly.
The height now is probably about 25 or 30 metres up a hill. And it took me 10 minutes to get up the hill now to go down this. So I went down
And 2 seconds to get down.
Literally. I mean, I was going at it, and I thought I was great going down it. No, thought it was great because I didn't fall out of the sleigh, and I said, "Fuck, this is going to be great." So I hit the bottom anyhow, went down, hit the little ramp that the kids made, went up into the air, and I landed flat out on my back.
No.
Literally.
Oh dear.
I must have broke every rib in my back here. Because when I tried to move, it was all I could inwards, and I says. And me, being me, like I've often injured myself in the past, broke hands and fingers and stuff, and cut myself, and I wouldn't even go to the hospital. And I just get on with it. But I said, I'm fine to Nicole. This is 2 days into the holiday now, and we had another 2 or 3 days left. So I said to Nicole, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. So. The man I am, I put my arm around her and used her as a crutch. So she got me over to the road into the apartment, gave me a few painkillers, and the pain, I tried to turn on the bed, and all I could feel my whole rib cage coming in.
Oh, stop.
And I had to go straight to the hospital.
It's not funny at all.
Not at all.
You're alive and kicking to tell us a story.
I had to go straight to the hospital, straight to the hospital. They brought me in, beautiful people, brought me in, put me down, took my urine straight away in case I had internal injuries, and x-rayed and the whole lot, and they told me I was after broken ribs here, and I damaged my hip as well.
You could have killed yourself.
I thought my back was broke. I couldn't even breathe on the floor. I was after being, the air was knocked out of me. The gas was going on. And they're all laughing at me.
Georgie's laughing. I'm sorry.
But they were all laughing at me. Nicole was FaceTiming her mum and dad back in Ireland, like while this was going on, and I could hear them all laughing on the phone, and I'm on the floor like that. And I got up. I said, Nicole, I'm fucked here, like. But you know what? Because the only thing that stopped me from doing, I could still walk. I was walking slow, and I couldn't walk down any heights or anything. I couldn't do the snowmobile or any of the carts or any of that stuff anymore.
But you met Father Christmas.
I met Father Sam. Nick. I did. I met him. I met all the reindeer, and I was walking through. We went for a meal one night, and I'm finishing this, and we'll carry on. I was walking through this Romnevik or something it was called, this beautiful little village in Lapland, and we're walking through. We're after being at this little ice show with acrobatics and all this stuff. And we finished there. There was no one around the streets. It was snowing. The place was white. I mean white. I've never seen anything like this.
Was this in November, December?
It was December, Christmas. Went over on the 27th, and we came home on the first. So we're walking through, and next Jay calls me and he says, Dad, have a look at this. I turned to my left, and there was a white hair running through the snow. The thing was, I'd say, he was about that size, right? Big for a big hair. I swear, I felt like I was a child.
You would do, wouldn't you? That's
I just looked up and I just said, fuck. I said, thank you.
Oh,
I got so much gratitude, and then to be there with the child. So the two of us, like 2 12-year-olds, were running after the hair.
He's just out of hospital, and now then he.
Well, he was running, and I'm calling Brian and his lads, and saying, and we just stopped. The next, he went. The hair went into a park, children's park, and I was just looking at him and saying, this place is fucking magical.
It's little moments like that. I mean,
amazing.
Being in nature is so good for someone's mental health. And you obviously live near or around Ballymaloe, but isn't Ballymaloe just beautiful gardens and herbs and smells and senses everywhere? And
yeah, I'm always just lolling around the garden.
Yeah, you just never working, just relaxing, chilling, putting your feet
just the
up.
way you said that, I was thinking, yeah, that'd be really nice. Just to sit around.
How did the cooking stuff come on? How did that come into your life, Rach?
So I was always baking when I was younger, but I never knew what I wanted to do as a career. I knew I didn't want to go to college. I come to think of it, I don't think I'm dyslexic. I'm sure I've never been tested for it, but
Well,
here
let's
we
get
go.
started.
But I don't think. Anyway, I was always getting into a bit of trouble in school, just because I just wanted to have fun all the time. I wanted to chat, a lot of chatting, a lot of silly things like making faces behind teachers' back.
Yeah,
you know,
the usual stuff.
Kind of thing, and scribbling on teachers' photos in the school. I got into little bits of trouble for a lot, but had a great time with my friends. But knew I didn't want to go to college. And so we had a careers guidance teacher in the school. And so I would go to her every week. And she'd see me coming in, well, Rachel, what is it this week? And I'd say, I think I want to be a dancer. I wanted to be on Top of the Pops or something like that. I think I want to be, and then next week it was an ice skater because my mum did ice skating in Iceland. I think I want to be, I don't know, an actress or whatever it was something. And then, but I just kept thinking, what do I want to do? But then all the time my friends said, well, Rachel, you're always baking. Why not do something like that? And then I went to my parents and I said, I think I'd like to just travel around the world for a bit. And they said, great. And how are you going to pay for that? And I said, oh, are you not going to? They said, no, we'll pay for you to learn a skill and then you can, make your own way across the world. And I said, oh, okay. I was so immature. I think I just kind of...
Yeah.
My sister always used to call me, she probably still does a bit, just kind of, oh yeah, ditzy head in the clouds. It's kind of, oh great, okay. And so I was a bit like that. And so then my grandmother also encouraged me. My parents said, why don't you do a cookery course? So that was why I left Dublin, came down here to Cork when I was 18, came down and saw the cookery school first when I was 17. And when I had just left school. And then, so I did my leaving. Can't remember what I got and I'd never used it, but I wanted to leave school before my leaving, and then my parents said, look, just stay for your exams and just but yeah, it wasn't.
School difficult for you?
See, I look back at it now thinking, I just had great fun. I just lived for Friday evenings when the weekend would start and what was happening socially.
You might be a bit bored. It sounds like you were a bit bored in lessons if you were kind of...
Yeah. I was always looking for trouble. I was always... Yeah.
And that's a distraction.
Absolutely.
For something else.
Exactly. I was always kind of looking out the window and thinking, now, what'll I do this weekend?
When I'm an actress.
And when I'm an actress or a dancer or...
I relate.
So it wasn't hard, but I used to just get myself into... all these situations with, I remember teachers and going, okay, and then I'd come back after, say, school holidays and say, right, I'm not going to get into trouble anymore. And then it would just start again. And I mean, it was never bad stuff, but I had an art teacher and she was always just, actually, and a few of the teachers really were amazing. Lots of them I drove mad. But my art teacher, her name was Miss Dunn at the time, Barbara Dunn, and she's now Barbara Tidy. Because she was just amazing. And she just always, I mean, does it sound a bit ridiculous to say she always believed in me, but she was amazing. And I still keep in touch with her a bit.
People always say there's a teacher in your life. Yeah. Someone who encourages you or I remember my form tutor, I didn't have a particular connection with, but she said to me, I know you don't love school. But she said, you're going to love the adult world. And I remember thinking, what's she on about? What do you think? But she was absolutely right. The minute I left school, oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Life just suddenly blossomed,
It's really funny. Yeah, Barbara was amazing. And I still keep in touch with her.
For me, the most important thing at that age was just reaching the age of 18 to go into the pub.
Yeah.
That was it. I had no aspirations to be anything.
Really?
Nothing at all.
Really?
The only thing I cared about back then was the crack, the drinking and the drugging in the weekends, and that was it for me. You know, everything else, the work stuff, it wasn't, you know, there was no real goal there. All I wanted to was live for the weekend.
I lived for the weekend. It was more just because we were an all-girls school, so it was more just about which guys were going to be at.
Because your own education journey, Rachel, can you understand maybe some of the stuff that's going on for your daughter around her own learning differences, and do you because you've done okay in life, you know, you became a businesswoman, and you run you're part of the Ballymaloe School, and which is fantastic. So do you have a little bit more understanding as a parent that went through their own difficulties in school for your daughter, and understand she'll be fine anyway? No matter what she does, she'll still be fine. Definitely.
I think so. And same with Josh and Luca as well. Yeah. So Josh has dyslexia too. He went to the Dyslexia Association of Ireland workshops in Youghal. Luca doesn't have dyslexia. Now he kind of says, oh, maybe I do have it. Maybe it's like, no, I don't think you do. Anyway, whatever. But school for Luca was much more straightforward and easy. School and Josh didn't really work. You know, he left quite early. And Scarlett. So, but I understood that. I totally got where he was coming from, even though it was a bit more extreme with him. But I totally got what he was saying, and just it can be really hard because also it seems like at that age, I mean, even though I say to Scarlett, you know what, you've only got 3 more years, but that seems like an eternity because that is a fifth of her life.
I know.
She's 15, you know, whereas 3 more years is what percentage of mine? Tiny.
Well, a
tiny percentage of my.
Absolutely. Yeah. But when you're young, it does seem like a huge distance. So it's focusing on the holidays. It's
exactly.
2 months until summer holidays.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
What happened then next? You went from a home. You went to school in the cookery school.
So came down here to Cork to the cookery school. Just loved it. My parents didn't think I would last in the country for more than 2 or 3 weeks, let alone me still living down here now 34 years later. And I was just going, this is brilliant. And it was my first time living away from home as well, and I just loved it.
Fell in love.
Fell in love.
That always helps.
That always helps. But then I was like, he went off for a few months. He was he was working for a photographer, and he went into ironwork after that. But then he was working as a photographer and living away a little bit. But still, yeah. I loved it, and I loved it down here in Cork. And I kept thinking, I'll probably move back to Dublin at some stage, but
never happened.
No, it didn't. And then I did get to do a bit of traveling, but I think, I have always said to anyone who listen anyway, but Scarlett or Josh and Luca, if you're prepared to work hard and if you can find something that you love doing, then it just doesn't seem like work.
No.
It really doesn't.
I'm still trying to find that.
Well, it's so great to find it, but look, this is what you're good at.
Still trying to I'm only kidding.
This man works.
You're so good.
And sitting in between people,
I'm so caught up in so many different things in relation to work and other stuff.
And you're obviously so artistic as well, because I've seen your artwork, your carvings, wooden carvings.
Yeah, there's something like if I stick one thing and become I can become very, very good at it, and I know that. But what happens with me is I get bored very easily. Do you know?
You can hyper-focus, but you can also just lose interest.
And the reason I didn't stay with the carving, even though I was absolutely great at it, is because I was giving the carvings away for nothing and I wasn't making anything financially, and it was costing me money. So I had to go to work.
Yes.
And then I went to work, and it was like, I felt like I was wasting my fucking life then with construction. Something just wasn't clicking for me. So I kind of moved from that into something else. Now I'm doing a master's in mindfulness coaching, and that's probably out of everything that I've done. I still working in construction. I'm doing this podcast here with Georgie, Tony and Dawn and Tommy, and I started an asbestos business then recently, last year, on top of everything else. And
An asbestos business.
asbestos
free time.
removal, yeah. Me and my partner Hilary, we started it there last year.
Oh my goodness.
So we're in the middle of doing that now as well, and it's just I'm still kind of have that debate in my head. Well, I know what I'm good at. You know, I know where my time could be very valuable, not just financially because of my own experiences, and it could be maybe in the mindfulness space, and I really love that area because I love learning about it. The only thing that I do struggle with is the academic side of it. The academic side of it can be difficult for me, but the structure, when I'm embodying a meditation practice with other people, I fit it. It's like glue to glue.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
But you're obviously so insightful, and you've had so much reflection.
Yeah.
You've reflected so much on yourself. But what of the academic side, because it's surely that it's all just
it's
innate. It's all just
it's you see
your instinct and your
the course is based, and you know what, it'd be a great idea to have my lecturer on someday, Pat, and Pascal, both fantastic. Have one of them on, or both of them. But for me, it's about just sitting down and doing it.
and having to remember the
content.
facts. Oh, I see. So you mean just for the exams for your masters?
There's no exams. It's continuous assessment.
Okay.
And then next year's dissertation.
So is there an enormous amount of reading and research
There is, and it's just
essay writing as
there
well?
You
would
see,
be,
I think I would just find that.
It just kind of
So
it gives me
complicated.
anxiety immediately, even though this is something that I'm really passionate about and something that I would love to spend the rest of my life doing, being able to help people to reach a place in their well-being where I have met through mindfulness, and that would be a massive thing for me.
I would come to Timmy if I was looking for mindfulness. I would come to Timmy. You've got such a calming aura about you. It's quite, I would love to. I'm interested. Would you use mindfulness to help you cope with your stress and anxiety?
What's going on for me at the moment, right? I never stressed anymore. I never stressed.
That's amazing to say.
I'm rarely stressed because I don't fucking listen, we all have our own issues in life, financial, relationships, all this different stuff, but they always seem to resolve themselves no matter what. I'm not going to starve tomorrow, and I'm not going to be going thrown out in the streets tomorrow, unless Nicole gets a mad rabbi. No one fucking just decides that she wants to get rid of me, but I can't see that happening.
I don't think so.
But for me, it's just about the only time I would get a little bit anxious is when I leave things last minute.
Oh, I know. I think I work better under pressure, but I don't know if I do.
And that's me too. That's me too.
When is your birthday?
I'm 4th of January.
Oh, I'm October. No, I just thought maybe you might.
I'm 4th of January, 81, and I do feel.
Is there any way you could record it? Is there any way you could get it on Audible so that if you're going for a walk in the evening and it's playing in your mind, or driving?
I have started to use audio softwares for my exams to write them, because it helps me to. So when I come home, I'm doing a 8-week mindfulness placement at the moment in a company in Little Island. It's called DB Schenker. So I'm down there for 1 hour once a week, doing an hour's meditation and explaining, breaking down mindfulness and how it can benefit them in their lives for full hour.
I'd love to.
And it's really going well. So we have a good few people on, and they're a global brand. So they have people online and they have people in the board, But some people disregard it before they even get to know it. It's not for me. Meditation's not for me.
There's a lot of people who
But and I probably would have been those people. One of these people.
I've never meditated.
It actually saved my life.
Really?
I tried.
Literally.
Luca does it
Well,
quite regularly, and he recommended it to Josh, and Josh was like, "Oh God, no, I wouldn't be able to concentrate on that.
Doesn't
would
Luca
It's
need
not
it to focus? Because
He does. So
he's a racing car.
Well, he would be,
driver.
because when he's inside in a race car,
Yeah.
you can't be thinking of anything
Yeah.
else but
Exactly.
what's going on. So that's that kind of
Yeah.
awareness and mindful. That's mindfulness.
I'd love to try.
It's like one false move and it could be lights out. 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to be tuned
Yeah.
in. You have to be on your game with that. With mindfulness, it's not about meditating to be relaxed or to quieten down your mind. It's about meditating to allow yourself to feel whatever's going on for you, with no judgment, none whatsoever. And your head will probably be fucking busy
Yes.
tonight, tomorrow, last week, the year before.
Yeah.
What about this? What about that call? What about this meeting? Why did he say that? Why did she say that?
Yeah.
That's where the head is. And you know when you're busy in your normal day, the head won't go at you like that. It will not. The head will. It's happy because it's busy.
Right,
Yes.
But you know, the minute you sit your ass on the chair and you put your legs on the floor, boom, there's the head.
Yeah.
There's the head, and the head is saying, fuck.
Or you suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep.
Yeah.
That's
The mind chatter.
And will I give you something in relation to that, right? I could not sleep, Rachel. Georgie couldn't. And I went through all this in the cell, you know, but I felt safe in the cell.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking steel door there, concrete walls. I
Yeah.
never felt so safe in my life. But inside there, it was just. I'd wake up during the night, and slowly but surely, the start of it, learning how to meditate was the most difficult thing that I'd ever done in my life. But you know, after a while, I started to bring the awareness into the sleep. So I'd wake up during the night, and even if I got to sleep, you know, if I couldn't get to sleep, I'd just lie there and I'd say, it's okay. Instead of going into my head saying, fuck it, tomorrow, no, I've no sleep tonight. What am I going to do tomorrow? I'm not going to be able for this.
Yeah,
not
I'm going to
be
feel
able for
tired.
that.
I'm going to be wrecked. The day's going to be a
So
mess.
after a while, I just bringing it back to my breath and bringing some form of acceptance into what's going on for me in my head and here. It stopped. It just stopped. Now I put my head to the pillow and I'm gone. But for years, I could not sleep. I wake up. I dreaded waking up, going to the toilet during the night because I knew I wouldn't get back to sleep because my head would be ruminating and it was all negative stuff. You have to remember, I'm in early recovery and I'm dealing with a lot of trauma. There's a lot of shit there coming up and I'm being fucking bombarded by negative name calling myself, and it was just meditation. But I had nothing else left.
This is the thing, is I think I've said this to you before, is that you have to reach such a rock bottom. There is no alternative.
There was no alternative, Georgie, you know.
No, absolutely. Whereas I tried meditation, just, you know, someone said come to meditation class, but I wasn't in a state of needing the meditation, in my view. Like, that's why I didn't take to it. But I'm sure that if there was a point in my life where I was thinking, I have to find something. I cannot cope with the chaos in my head. I cannot cope with the stress or the anxiety. I have to find something and I need to persevere. Because meditation takes serious perseverance.
Yeah.
And time to dedicate. You know, from what I hear from you and from others who do meditate, and they get up now in the morning, it's part of their routine, and handling stress is so much easier. I'm interested as well about the stress that comes with cooking, because you see things like the Gordon Ramsay off on one every.
Does he just go off on a fucking different level or what? Like, is there any need for that kind of violence? And listen, it is violence, like, because he's that close in people's faces sometimes, and he's
Very
nearly
aggressive.
spitting at them. Like, I can imagine being in the kitchen with him, and if he put his hands on me inside the kitchen,
You'd meditate.
I don't think I would be able to meditate now with somebody abusing me to my face.
No,
like,
no.
is that normal? Is that normal for a cook?
I
chef?
think, you see, what I work as, it's so different. I teach cooking. So it's lovely.
Okay.
It's like a walk in the park. But chefing wise, that's changing. That's changing a lot.
Is it?
Restaurant kitchens, the atmosphere. Well, I mean, I'm speaking so generally, but it does seem to be changing a lot.
For the better
It does seem,
or
for the
for the-
better.
okay.
It does seem like you can't actually you can't
Speak to
work
people.
people too
Yeah.
hard. You can't bully them in the kitchen. You can't, it used to be quite common that you'd hear that some chefs would put their cigarette out
Or spit on your soup or
Yeah,
something,
exactly.
yeah.
But things have really, really, really changed, I think. But what I do is just, it's pressure just because it's hard work, but it's not, Today I was in the demonstration that I was teaching, I was making quite a few cakes and a few other things, a few savoury things, but one of the cakes, when I was icing it, it just wasn't working out. It just wasn't as beautiful as it could have been. And I said this to the students, I said, I made about 4 or 5 different cakes, and I said, actually, it's the coffee cake that you're eating over there.
I'd like to tell people we have tried some of this cake and it was absolutely delicious.
It didn't look as smooth and beautiful as it should be on the outside. And I said that to the students. I said, this isn't looking kind of smooth. And I tried like dipping the palette knife in a bit of boiling water and trying to bring it around like this. But all the time if I'm ever just a little bit stressed like this, you have a laugh with the students while they're all sitting in the demonstration. It's, it's real life. But then it's not brain surgery.
Yeah. But
someone's not about to die.
Yeah.
But I find it so stressful.
I'm aware of that all the time.
See, that's good. You see, whereas, because that's not my profession, it's not what I do. But if I make something and if I've got people coming around, it has to look good, taste good, and I am devastated. I'm devastated. I'm so stressed. I'm so moody. Get out of the kitchen. No one in my space. Like, literally, it's avoid Georgie.
Don't worry about me anyway, Georgie. Just make sure there's plenty of it there when I call around. It doesn't matter what it tastes like or anything else. Just make sure there's a lot of it there.
For that. That's easy. But it is like but it's my head. As you were the one who's introduced me to this idea that it's only your head that tells you this is terrible, this is awful, and everyone else is saying, what's wrong with you? Like,
so
who cares?
funny, isn't it?
That's the perfectionist nature, is it?
It is a little.
In
Unfortunately,
us all,
I do have a bit of that. But there must be people who get very like. Were you ever a chef in the
restaurant kitchen just for about 1.5 years, nearly 2 years?
Yeah,
and
that
then
must have been stressful. Trying to please guests.
Yeah, it's funny actually because Isaac and I did a pop-up recently, week before last at Ballymaloe. So we were in the restaurant kitchen again.
I saw Zach
the two of us for a
cooking
night. Isaac loves chefing. Yeah. He just loves that high adrenaline. Oh my goodness. Yeah. He loves it. Yeah. And at one stage he went out of the kitchen to get something, or he went down to one part of the kitchen to get the shells or something, and he came back to the hob, and it was a real night, and there were about 120 people coming into the restaurant, and because it was a pop-up event of ours at Ballymaloe House at the hotel, we were in there, but the other chefs were in there as well, and Dervla, who's the head chef, who's amazing, who's a great friend of ours, and I was standing at the hob, and so Isaac and I working together in a way which can be kind of funny, and he said, Isaac came back from picking up the shells and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "You just stepped out for a second, so I'll do the
what are you doing
lobster thing," and he said. So I was like, "Oh right, okay, I'll go back to my station." He's a really good chef. He's a really good cook.
I can relate to that. Kitchen is my space now for
everyone's gonna have their space.
Do you cook or does Nicole cook more?
Yeah, I do a bit of cooking when I need to. Like last night, no, I know it's only a small thing, like, but I made some homemade chips.
Yeah.
Some steak. You know, and just peas and
I'd like steak
just
and
healthy. I'm trying to eat healthy at the moment, so it was a healthy dish, and the dog seems to get more of the food. I don't know, is it because of my cooking or not, but the dog seems to get more of her dinner than she actually eats herself at the moment. You know, because the dog just sits there on the floor and she's looking up like this, and. But yeah, I do try to cook. I do try when I have the time. Like if I was at home now and Nicole was out at work, I'd make sure there's a dinner there for when she come home. You know, once I'm there. Yeah. And vice versa. Yeah. You know, but we're both kind of busy doing more different things, and it can be hard. And sometimes we just come home, we might just ruffle something together and just have it then.
I find it so stress relieving. So Aaron is a brilliant cook, and he, you know, if he is cooking,
he's very creative, isn't he?
He's very creative. Like Tim, he's a carpenter, and incredibly good with his hands and all the rest of it. But when I come home from work, or not even home from work, because I work at home.
When you've been out.
When I've been out
students,
busy, like
yeah.
today. I love the fact that I've got great food waiting at home.
Yeah.
You know, someone else has put the effort and time into it. It's
really
not
nice.
something that you have to add to your day and you've got to think about how long is it going to take me to cook. Da, da, da. But I watched a Rick Stein documentary. He did an episode where he met the Dalai Lama. And I because I love Tibet and Nepal and all these places, I thought, oh, I'll watch this. And the Dalai Lama said something at the end, which, God, it really moved me. But he said, I can't remember word for word, but he said, food is the one thing that brings all communities together. It doesn't matter if you are living on the street, it doesn't matter if you're living in the high castle, it doesn't matter who, what, where or when, but you can all share food together and be part of something. And I thought that was such a lovely statement from him. It's such a basic, simple thing.
Yeah.
But he's absolutely right.
Food just connects us all together. Doesn't matter
It really
where you're
does.
It is something that people, they need and function and, you know, penny dinners. Doesn't penny dinners do the thing? Like, what a great thing to do.
They cook in the kitchens and people call to the kitchens over in penny dinners and they get their food. They'll get their dinner. They'll get a
amazing,
sandwich
isn't it?
for the evening and they'll get a drink. And same thing the next day. They cook. They cook. I couldn't put a figure on it, but they do so amazing work. And Christmas, like what they do over there at Christmas for people, I'd be looking at them and I'd be saying, fucking hell. I said, why weren't they around when I was small?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Because
It's incredible. There are a few great charities, aren't there?
They leave absolutely no one out. There's nobody goes hungry. Like people, if you don't know the penny dinners is there, like just you should know because you will not go hungry if you're hungry.
Yeah.
With penny dinners there because they'll feed anybody, and all you need to do is call up to the door and you get fed. And there's a lot of organisations like that around.
Yeah.
In
There's another one
Ireland.
that Josh volunteered with for a while. What's it called?
Street Angels. There's Street Angels as well. They go around in the evenings and they feed people as well.
They collect coats. People throwing out old coats, they collect coats.
Okay.
But you can leave a coat hanging anywhere now in Cork City. Just leave a coat hanging on a light or a bus stop or whatever.
Oh, really?
And
then it means that it's
someone
for...
someone will just come up and put it on.
You know, when it's cold and when it's raining, you just think...
I know. But the Irish have a very clear sense of community. There is absolutely no doubt. And you know, if you're on the streets or if you are in trouble, someone somewhere is gonna help you. And Rachel, I have to say, I turned to Rachel when I needed some help because, for long story short, I ended up helping a Nepalese charity called Autism Care Nepal Society. And they needed me to raise some money for some training and for some help. I won't bore everyone with this, but I thought, my God, how am I going to do this? And people love, as your brother Tommy has described, he loves Chinese food. A lot of people love Indian food. A lot of people love Nepalese food. And I thought, hang on a sec, what about having a great big sort of, get together over cooking? And Rachel was brilliant. She came over and she hosted this whole event. And we raised the money we needed for Autism Care Nepal Society. I just think it goes back again to what great things can happen.
Yeah.
But that was Bazanta and his beautiful wife from Tallinn, Nepal and Cork. The food was so good, wasn't it?
We were there, yeah.
It was good.
Myself
It was so good.
And the effort and time that goes
They
into it.
It's a great setup as well.
So much effort.
Yeah, the food was delicious.
It was
I had
really
two
good.
kids out the back playing with the donkeys inside the field.
That's so cute.
But yeah, it was a great. That was a great.
It was
That was a
but it
great
was
charity for what
successful.
you done, and like
Well, I was so thankful. I was so thankful for you for coming along and also knowing the questions to ask. I didn't have a clue. I was like, here you go, strip over to you, Rachel. And I kind of disappeared. And
do you know? Just going back to that story.
Yeah.
Just going back to that story. You went over to Nepal then after that.
I did. Yeah.
And you spent a few
long
weeks
trip.
over there.
I did. And that's one of the reasons I'm wearing this top, which Timmy thinks looks like very 1980s jacket. But
Well, it's got bat wings.
it's got the bat wings.
Yeah.
But this is made out of recycled saris. So I'm a big believer in upcycling and recycling.
It's beautiful.
You know, you being resourceful and not wasting resources. And actually, that's a really good point, because whenever I've travelled, I've noticed that certainly in some of the more developing countries, they are so resourceful. And I don't know if you've seen this in the cooking world, but certainly in the classroom, they will not throw out a thing.
Yeah.
They will recycle a bottle. They will, not recycle, they will upcycle. They will make it. So for example, when I went to Autism Care Nepal Society, and I had this huge list in my head of all these sensory toys I wanted to take over. And one of these toys would cost €25, okay? And so I took one over to show them as an example. Within 2 hours, one of the women came out and she said, "You mean something like this?" She made it out of an old plastic bottle.
No way.
Some sand, some stuff that had dropped on the floor from something that had burst open, all these little multicolored balls. She'd put it in there, shaken about. It was this amazing resource that one of the kids instantly grabbed, and this big smile on their face came out. And I just think, there's something we could do about being resourceful. You were talking about recycling the bottles. This is a big thing now. Is it? When was it introduced about recycling?
In February, but it's now going to be compulsory. All bottles sold. So it's just bottles and cans that you would drink on the street. It's not like dog food tins that you would use at home. It's just waste to stop. The litter on the street. I was so excited when I got something like 85 cent off my shopping.
As we said, a dog of,
and I've now got a big bag.
Dog food.
Yeah. I've now got a big bag of bottles to recycle.
I need to do more of that. But they are so resourceful. They really think, they've got so little funding. I mean, we took over.
It's ridiculous what we waste.
Unbelievable. My neighbour was telling me the other day that he saw someone stop at the bridge where we live and just threw a big plastic bag of litter into the river.
Are you serious?
Is that? What is that?
It's just unconsciousness.
It's
just people just no awareness. That's all there is.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's just people with habits, bad habits, and
and not preparing to pay for bin collection and stuff as well.
Yeah,
is an issue.
Yeah. We have that. You have that everywhere.
Yeah.
You just get on with it. But going back to just the Nepal stuff, can you tell us what they actually know over there around autism? Because you went over there to teach.
Do you know? Yeah, it's. So I was training. So I went over there to train the teachers, and as I said when I got there, I said, "Wow, it's called Autism Care Nepal Society," and I said, "You've got the caring bit absolutely spot on. Like, the students are in there. So Nepal has a huge population, but there's only one centre in the whole country that is there for autism.
Autistic centre.
Yeah. They will go out. So the main manager will go to hubs in rural Nepal. Like he was saying to me, he'd just got back from somewhere in the mountains and he'd spent the night in a cowshed because they didn't have a bed for him to sleep in. And he was trying to train some of the teachers to help with someone who had autism. All over the world, different cultures have different views, different understanding. We are trying, like with everything we're doing, we're trying to get better training, get better understanding, more compassion about it. One of the parents said to me, the mother was taking paracetamol during pregnancy. There's still a blame on mothers. There's still, in some cultures, it's not having the education, not knowing and understanding. It's not about that. It is not about that. But they definitely they were very caring, but there was a lot of, how do I work with someone in a room if they're constantly moving around and they're constantly chattering or making noises or stimming, and
what?
Stimming. So stimming might be it's a sort of self-soothing thing that an autistic child or person might have. It could be flapping of the hands. Mm-hmm. It could be a sound they make. It could be moving. Everyone has very personal things, but so some stimming can upset another person's stimming.
Okay.
And then the anxiety grows. And what so much of this is about is trying to reduce anxiety. So there's nothing wrong with stimming, because actually stimming is a way of trying to comfort yourself. But so a lot of it was kind of like, how do we work with them if they're doing this, or if their anxiety is going through the roof? And it's like, well, let's look at why the anxiety is going through the roof. And there was lots of the sensory stuff they had locked away in a room. And I was saying, so what do you do if a child is about to, claw down the curtains, or, they're leaping all over the place and screaming, and your resources are in a locked room, and they, what we need is access. But it's the same, we talk about this, even here in Ireland, is having access to resources that can help with dysregulation and with anxiety. It so much goes back to behavior, or behavior that is seen as bad behavior, because there's anxiety, because there's dysregulation. So we've got to try and nip it in the bud, find out what it is. What is it that is making them feel that way? So a lot of the training was around that, but they're wonderful people. They're very incredibly engaging and happy and welcoming. Very like the Irish.
Yeah. That was an amazing charity. Even to do something like that was really touched me as well. Just to know that you could go over and just do that.
Yeah,
it was a great learning experience for me, because my kind of main knowledge is dyslexia. But for me, I was then being trained by one of the very best in the world. Like, she's hugely recognised. A lady called Jude Reagan. She's literally one of the most knowledgeable and well qualified people for autism. And she gave a little speech at the beginning of the event, and she continues for free. Continues to train them. She trains people all over the world for free in her retirement, because she's so passionate that people need to understand.
There's so much we don't know about autism.
Yeah,
there's so much. Like, I think it's only becoming a big thing at the moment in our schools, and there's so many children autistic today. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different levels of it, levels of the spectrum. And I have often wondered in my own head, where are all the autistic kids from my generation?
Well, you see,
like I can't.
I wonder that, but I know a few people.
And that might be a silly.
That teaches children with autism, and sometimes, we could say about kind of someone we know, he's probably on the spectrum. He probably would have been diagnosed, but I know what you mean. There are definitely adults now that you think, if they were in school, they'd probably be
autistic,
given a label.
Definitely.
But you see, there are just more labels now.
Yeah.
But is it just that there are more labels now? Whereas years ago it would have been, oh, she's a bit quirky, or he's a bit shy. I'm not talking about autism. I'm talking about lots of different ways the brain works.
Do you know, from your knowledge, you work with food all the time, and I've often said to myself, like, is there something around processed foods? Is there something around chemicals in water that this is happening?
I don't have a clue.
Like I was saying, like, is there something, like, what's so different today that there's so many kids with autism, and we're so under-resourced to help these children.
We're definitely under-resourced, but I think there's so many different layers to this. In the fact that MRI scanning changed so much of people's understanding and education, because when they started to do MRI scanning, they started to be able to look at someone's brain.
Scans.
They were able to see how brains were different. So they were able to look at, for example, compare an autistic person learning how to thread compared to a non-autistic person, or when it came to language or understanding or conversation, so they can see the things changing in the brains. And from that, they started to see patterns. They started to go, oh, hold on a sec. This is what, all these people here, all these people belong on this spectrum, all these people here belong on this spectrum. So they're able to put things into categories and then research and educate. But, do we have more autism in society? I don't know, because you got to think,
It's very hard to judge it, isn't it?
It is, because also a lot of history, a lot of these things weren't written about. You think about Romania, okay? When Ceausescu's government was overthrown, in Romania, they found these 3 massive institutions in the mountains. And these massive institutions were so-called orphanages. And in the orphanages, these so-called orphanages, all these people, children in there were severely disabled. So there was a test given at the age, I think, of 3. You were either considered normal, in inverted commas, or not. And if you weren't, you were shoved in these institutions.
Oh my God.
And they didn't have light, and they weren't able to grow. They weren't able to.
Are you serious?
Now, these people weren't talked about. They were hidden away.
This
is still happening. This is still happening. I'm afraid in cases in Nepal, we hear of situations where people are locked in sheds because people don't know how to cope with it. Yeah. So stuff wasn't talked about. Stuff wasn't written about. Wasn't there was a king who had what they considered to be a sort of a feral child that was found in the woods, who then became the court entertainer.
Chester.
So now they're now thinking that child was feral because they were non-verbal autistic. The family didn't know what to do with them, and they were left to fend for themselves. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago. Well, hundreds, not thousands, but big.
Yeah, it's
so a lot of stuff wasn't talked about. It was misunderstood. It was put into, not treated with compassion. And now we have a lot better education, a lot better understanding.
Do you think kids are getting what they require today to help them?
The problem is
in this country,
enough understanding
there's not enough.
of it.
Yeah.
Do I think that they have enough services? Definitely not. We can't necessarily blame anyone, but we need more speech and language therapy. We need more occupational therapy. We need more understanding around food, because actually food is a huge thing with autism. You can have... there are some things like, there are some children who will only eat junk food, will only eat black food, will only eat yellow food, will only eat green food,
white food,
will only eat white food. Because of there's a lot of sensory issues when it comes to autism as well. But again, there is no one size fits all.
Do you know some of these kids who will only eat certain foods, then will they starve, like if that food isn't available to them?
No, they just eat the same food over and over and over again. But then,
and what if that food is not available, like, to them?
The 100% massive meltdown.
Really?
It totally can be, yeah.
Okay. So tell us what's going on in Ballymaloe these days.
What's going on? So Dorina decided to step back and, I'm going to say, retire. So in classic Dorina style, she has set up a farm school.
Okay.
So
in her retirement.
Yeah. This is it's amazing. So this is how I'm leading on to, I suppose, what I've been doing. But Dorina she's so inspiring. I've always just found her amazingly inspiring. And she, she's 74. She hasn't stopped. She doesn't stop thinking about, she'd be a great one actually to get to meditate.
Yeah.
Just to kind of calm her mind, even for her. I mean, for half an hour or something. But anyway, her mind is incredible. And she's really, really, really curious, always writing things down, always. And she says herself that she, in school, wasn't a star pupil, or was a bit of a messer, I think, in school as well. So Dorina's my mother-in-law. And anyway, but all the time over the last however many years, she's been more and more interested in farming. And because the cookery school is based on a farm, it's an organic farm, that her and Tim turned organic about 25 years ago. Went through the whole process, which takes quite a while, and you have to, go through probably quite a lot of red tape, you know what I mean, to actually fill in all these forms to say we're not using this, we're not using this, we're not using this. But she's just more and more concerned all the time that people are losing touch with reality and where food actually comes from. So that's why the farm school is being set up. So the farm school is being set up just where the cookery school is as well. But but she's built a wooden like studio shed thing. That's her new little classroom.
Lovely.
And getting amazing speakers from Ireland and lots of other places as well to come and talk about how to make compost, how to plant trees, how to rear your own pigs. Just all
live off the land.
Live off the land.
Live completely off the land.
And she's always been really interested in this, but it's great. So this is going on now at the cookery school.
Oh, lovely.
As well.
And what are you doing at the moment?
So Rory, who is Drina's brother, Rory and I try to help Rory look after the whole kitchen side of the cookery school. And then Toby, my brother-in-law, and Adrian, the four of us, I suppose, are trying to...
Are you busy?
Run it, keep it going. We're really busy.
So you teach people?
We teach people. So people will come for a 3-month course.
Yeah.
We have 3-month courses a year, or short courses.
So the 3-month course, is that once a week then, or is it?
No, it's Monday to Friday.
Oh, really?
Long days.
Really?
Full on. So it's a residential course. So they come down and stay. Some people stay out. A few people, maybe if they know someone who lives down the road or something, or if they live down the road or whatever. But it's a really, really full on, full-time course for 3 months. And not the weekends. But you can go into the bread shed or the little production kitchen that we run at the weekends if you like. But it's people will come from, say, anytime, sometimes from about 6 a.m. to go into the bread shed where we make the sourdough breads, and or they'll go to into the dairy to help milk the cows, and then class starts. They need to be in from about 8, 8:30 at the latest, to start gathering their ingredients. But they can have been in from earlier. Some people get really involved in the whole sourdough and bread making thing, or some people would. It's funny how some people, when they come on the course, and this is what I love, you'll have 64 people all arriving on the first day, and I look at all these people, and what I love is it's a lot. It's good, but it works. The size of the school, it works really well. But I love people for a start, so I love teaching. But I love seeing all the new people on the first day and thinking to myself, I know you're just all going to love this. And by the end of this, you're all going to have your big groups of friends and it's amazing. I just love seeing that.
Such interesting people.
Such amazing people.
And from all over the world, like America, Australia, England,
everywhere,
France, Italy.
You should start your own podcast with these guests.
No.
You should, you have some really interesting characters, I'd say, down there.
Amazing.
Maybe grab one or two of them during the week, sit down, have your own studio and have a conversation about life.
You'd have to help me about that.
Listen, why not?
Really, there are amazing characters. And some people come, like me, who, were 18, finished school. Some people come saying, I'm just going to, take a year off before I go to college. Or some people are saying, right, I've been in, banking for 25 years, I'm sick of it. Some people, you might just have someone who's maybe just been widowed, has never cooked in his life. Yeah. Or people just want to change. Or people who just suddenly say, you know what, I just want to live, or I've got redundancy, I now have this money, I can pay for the course.
Would you say really this is your favourite job that you've had out of all your jobs, if you know what I mean? Like, did you like creating recipes or writing the books, or what would you say is the most enjoyable part?
Probably teaching and being with people. Yeah.
I love that part too.
I love it. Because when I write a book, I just do it on my own I do it with Isaac a bit as well, but it's mainly just me at home testing recipes on my own. Yeah, and that can be great, but no, it's the teaching, it's being at the school. And so now that Dorina is busier with the farm school, we need to be there.
And of course, your
in the
books
school.
continue to teach people.
Yeah,
I mean, I've learned
hopefully.
I now make a soup every week because of the soup and broths cookbook. And I love it. And I hadn't realised actually how healthy or how nutritious bone broth is for your well-being and having.
Yeah.
I must say, bone broth. I'm very passionate about chicken broth.
Let's talk about
And
this.
actually, I really think, and it's basically so where you put chicken bones, and they can be raw or they can be cooked or it can be a mixture, into a saucepan with, say, some onions, some carrots, the green tops of the leeks, great, for using up the waste, or the whole leek, or a bit of celery, or a bit of fennel bulb if you have it. But it's basically just those things, a few parsley stalks, thyme. I like to put in garlic, and you boil it, and then lots and lots of cold water. Bring it up to the boil it or simmer it for a few hours, either in an oven or on the hob on top. And then, but it is so interesting, like when it says it gets out of the bones, it gets the glucosamine, which is supposed to be really good for our joints.
Yeah.
Collagen is supposed to be really good for our skin, our brains, gut health.
Better get that
And-
bone
but
broth every day.
Scarlett, it's so good. And actually, so often, if Scarlett's just feeling a bit, just like that, I say, do you want just a cup of broth? And then, so I just put a bit of salt in, heat up, put a bit of salt in. And after you've strained all the chicken and the vegetables out when it's boiled enough, and then allow it to chill. So then the fat will rise up to the top, get rid of the fat, and then just that broth. It's, because you think of it, you remember like, say, bovril or those kind of things that you'd make.
Yeah, my mum still has bovril. Yeah.
Does she?
Yeah,
Still
loves it.
bovril. My
Hot
dad
bovril.
used to like that.
Yeah.
But it's just really, I find with Scarlett, I can see it just kind of levels her. It's just because it's really good. Yeah.
And sugar is, very sadly, I hear, an inflammatory. It sort of aggravates, like, sort of you're feeling pain or you bloated or swollen or what have you. It makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Really?
Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I know.
That's why you have a bad back, so I
Have some more cake
I
there.
know, exactly. I'm eyeing up that cake.
But
do you have animals down on the farm as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
Cows. So we milk some cows. Only about, how many cows are being milked at the moment? Maybe only about 8. A couple of little calves have been born in the last couple of weeks. Some pigs, hundreds of hens, a couple of goats that are always breaking out of one of the fields and running around the
There's
place.
a book in that.
There is. It's like a little children's book. Cows, pigs, hens, goats. That's it.
No horses.
No horses.
Ah.
No, there was a horse called Summer, and she's now in a
I would have brought Tommy down.
in a horse riding school down the road. You was what?
Brought Tommy down for no job.
That's the story. The
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
that you and Tommy were telling on a
Yeah.
podcast I was listening to about
Gas.
the black and white.
You're
horse
always
that you took.
guaranteed a bit of crack anyway with Tommy.
I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, you definitely. And you're
Memorable.
very welcome up here anytime you want.
Thank you.
So,
I promise I'll bring more cake.
definitely. Oh yeah,
And maybe some broth as well.
the broth would be lovely.
Yeah. And we could sip it. I should have
Definitely the
thought
broth.
that.
It's just
While we're
at
chatting.
the moment. No, the treats are probably out the window because I'm trying to watch my own food at the moment.
What training do you do? What?
I do a lot of circuit training, and I'd lift a lot of I'd lift weights as well at a high volume, not too heavy weights, but lighter with more reps.
Okay.
And it just allows me to feel like I actually done something good for myself.
Yeah.
And it helps me to
I love
also
it,
burn off
actually.
energy in my body. And I just always leave the gym in a better place than I was before, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely agree.
not that I'm going in there and I'm in a bad place, but it just helps me to know that I'm after accomplishing something good for my body on that day, you know, and it also allows me to eat.
That's the only
More
reason
food.
I go to the gym.
Because
So I can eat.
But you do early morning swimming. Rachel,
Or,
you're
well-
swimming in the sea every morning?
Pretty much every morning. Well, actually, this morning I went to the gym instead. I go to a guy who has a garage in the back of his house, and he just has weights for strength
Brilliant,
training.
yeah.
But or swim or walk
And the
or
dog
just
walking.
try and just so I
Walking
can
is lovely too.
eat. It's all about balance. Life is just all about balance,
Absolutely,
isn't it? I'm
yeah.
Libra, so everything has to balance. And if the balance tips in the wrong direction,
Yeah. The head
I-
can go at you then.
yeah,
It's all about,
Yeah.
you're right, balance is key.
balance.
And it's about finding
really
that
is
sweet spot
key.
with balance, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, and that only happens when you find yourself being able to say,
Yes.
I can't.
Yeah.
do you know?
Yeah.
No.
And actually having
Yeah.
dogs.
No.
Yeah.
We've
do you
got
know?
4 dogs, and there are days when I'm thinking, God, I feel the idea of going on a dog walk, I'm absolutely exhausted. But you got to do it. You got to do it for the dogs, and you got to do it for your own mental health.
And you
actually,
always feel better.
always,
Always, yeah.
Even when I'm drenched in the rain, covered in mud,
Oh, that's great.
I feel better.
yeah, it's
Definitely.
exhilarating.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Listen,
Getting out.
Rachel, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much. I will bring broth next time.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Looking
and
forward to that.
yeah, I'll bring a few crackers or something.
Great.
If I'm still on this healthy living
Bring some
diet.
for your steak.
Yes.
But it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
You know, you're full of
Shite.
energy. Do you know, since the moment you walked in, you were just full of lots of nice, warm energy, and I want
agree.
to,
I
you know,
agree, yeah.
and it was a pleasure to have a conversation with you and Georgie tonight, and I want to wish you all the best with this school and everything
Thank
else.
you.
And it's another one from me tonight, Timmy Long and Georgie. Thank you so much for listening, and Slán.